Hello viewers, today I want to talk about as to why you shouldn't do 10,000 miles or 16,000 kilometers oil change intervals after this. Welcome back to the Moose Mobile Auto Repair channel. And so today I wanted to discuss about the 16,000 kilometers or 10,000 miles oil change intervals. This topic came about from one of my customers. He blew my mind, as in because he purchased a new vehicle. It was a 2024 Honda Accord, and this one is a hybrid vehicle, and this one has the 2-liter engine in it. And he approached close just after 16,000 kilometers, and he told me it was the first oil change service, and so he allowed me to perform the first oil change service on his vehicle. And so now usually I don't recommend to go all that long between oil changes. 16,000 kilometers is far too long, and so typically you shouldn't go any more than 8,000 kilometers or 5,000 miles, anywhere from 3 to 6 months. And you should have the oil change, whether it's distance or time, whichever comes first. So if you reach 8,000 kilometers first before the time, then you need to change the oil. If you reach the time first before the distance, then you need to change the oil. It's on whichever comes first. A lot of people don't seem to understand that. It's always on whichever comes first, the distance or time. So if it's been 6 months and you haven't reached 8,000 kilometers, then it's time to change the oil. It does not matter how much mileage you have accumulated. Now, when the vehicle is brand new, the engine is still new, and so because it was just assembled, it's going to take time for specifically the piston rings and everything else to wear in and to be wear mated with each other. And specifically the piston rings, it takes time to see in properly. And so the first usually 1,000 kilometers or so, the engine is going to burn a little bit of oil, depending on the engine. And so it may burn anywhere from a quarter to half a liter of oil or more, depending on the engine. It's always a good idea to have a look at the oil level just before you reach 1,000 kilometers. More likely than not, the engine may have burnt some oil in between. So you want to make sure you are checking the level and topping it off as necessary. Also, when you have a brand new vehicle, the engine is going to have a special type of break-in oil inside the engine. And so you want to make sure that you change that break-in oil after 1,000 kilometers or so, because there will still be a little bit of the bearing material that's in the engine, because the parts are still are brand new, and so there will be a lot of wear and tear from a brand new engine. So you want to make sure that you drain the oil out early, and you don't want to wait too long, because then that may accelerate engine wear later down the road. So anyhow, I just wanted to discuss about how the manufacturers are lying to the consumers these days. They don't really care about the consumers. They care more about the environment and pollution and things like that. So they have extended the oil change intervals. Although the engineering of engine oil and stuff and engines have improved over the years, things are a little bit different, and so they keep on extending the oil change intervals, even though with the use of specialty and synthetic oils, I do not recommend to go 16,000 kilometers or 10,000 miles between oil changes. I've even seen as much as 15,000 miles or 24,000 kilometer oil changes. And the issue is that sometimes the oil can make it that far, but under very light driving conditions and under favorable driving conditions. But more likely than not, most vehicles qualify for severe service or severe driving conditions, and so usually you can't typically go that long. So sometimes the oil can make it that far, but the oil filter cannot. The oil filter needs to have the same or similar capabilities as the engine oil, because they work together. And so because the problem is that a lot of times like some shops will use aftermarket oil filters, and that's okay, but those oil filters cannot go past 5,000 or 8,000 kilometers or 3,000 or 5,000 miles. That's why I don't advise to change the oil, to wait to change the oil for that long. So it's always best to do at most 8,000 kilometers or 5,000 miles oil changes. And now the only reason I'm saying this is because I've seen quite a number of engine failures in my past, because due to lack of oil changes or people not checking the oil level enough. And so it does not take much for the engine to fail. And so some engines are better made than others, but however, every engine relies on engine oil for lubrication and for protection. Those engine oils are only so good for its service life, and so you'll have additives inside the engine oil, so they wear out and break down over time. And you also have the byproducts of a combustion from the engine, and so that's going to contaminate the engine oil over time with use and mileage. And so you'll also have like water accumulation in the oil pan or in the sump over time. So water and moisture accumulation in the oil pan, that's going to contaminate the engine oil. Now vehicles that have the GDI engines and turbocharged engines, the gasoline direct injection, where the fuel injectors are directly inside the cylinders. So some engines or vehicles are better than others, and some are not, with the fuel dilution and things like that, because the engines with the gasoline direct injection, they are more prone to dilute the engine oil, to contaminate the engine oil with fuel over time. That's why sometimes when you check the oil level and you smell it, it smells like fuel. So that's another reason why you should change the oil more often, because It's not only because of that, but it's because of other reasons too. The additives wear out over time, and so on some driving conditions, the oil it will not last as long. So in just a minute, I'm just going to show this oil filter. I removed this oil filter on that vehicle I was working on. At this moment, I won't be showing inside the oil filter, but I will probably be making a separate video uh, dissecting or taking apart the oil filter and to see if there's any metallic particles inside here. So over here, this is the old oil that I took out. So that's your 16,000 kilometer oil change. And this is the oil filter that came out. I probably should take this apart and show you guys afterwards. So that's it. It's really a pet peeve of mine about changing the oil on time or even changing the oil early. I know everybody is busy, and people are not car guys or girls, and I can understand that. Uh, I know that 95% of people they are not car people. They just either they put the key in the ignition or whatever, and then they go. That's it. If you have a key that goes in the ignition or the push start stop system, so I know that people don't care. They're busy and blah blah blah, and I can understand that, and that's okay. That's not a big deal. But I mean, at least to plan for the the maintenance and the repairs on your vehicle. Just make sure you put it on your calendar or put a notification in your phone or something to remind you to change the oil on time. And if you need to, you can get a second opinion or a third opinion, because I know that sometimes the manufacturers themselves and the dealers they are just a bunch of liars. That's it. That's it. Just you don't want to do extended oil change intervals. That's going to destroy the engine over time. And it's just there's gonna be a lot more of the wear and tear, especially you have a metal on metal, and so there's a lot of friction going on. So you don't want that for your vehicles. And oil is cheap and engines are not. So it's just a lot easier and cheaper to change the oil than rather to uh, replace the engine. I've seen this mistake time and time again. So I'm just I'm begging you people to please to change your oil on time. Change your oil on time, and 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 if time allows it and if money allows it, change the oil early. It doesn't hurt to change the oil early. Because the last thing I want to see is engine failure. So please change your oil on time, and please don't follow the ridiculous extended oil change intervals. One thing I wanted to mention is the oil life or the oil reminder on the dash. Uh, do not go by those. All of that is just a bunch of phony baloney. Don't go by what the oil maintenance reminder light tells you, or percentage, or on whatever it is. Those things are all computer driven, and they are very poorly programmed. they are they are poorly made, because I've seen I've seen those oil change reminders or maintenance light. They don't come on till after 15,000 or 20,000 kilometers, which is absolutely ridiculous. So it's not tailor made for uh, on judging and seeing the driving conditions. And even the modern day vehicles today, they don't do it properly. It doesn't, although they have stated, manufacturers have stated that they go based on driving conditions on some of the oil life uh, monitors, but I still don't believe them even to this very day. I don't go by those oil life monitors. Now I know on some of the Hondas they'll say change it at 5% or change it at 15%. Some people will change it when it reaches at 50%. It really depends on the vehicle. I wouldn't even go by the percentages. I just go by the distance or time. And just 8,000 kilometers max in 6 months max, and then that's it. Sure, you may be able to stretch the interval a tiny bit, but again, I don't recommend to stretch the interval because of of catastrophic engine damage is possible. Engine damage is possible, and the stretching of the timing chain on today's modern day vehicles. Uh, I did not talk about that earlier in this video about timing chain stretch, the stretching of the timing chain. So, uh, if you like to do those long intervals, extended intervals, just be careful, because sooner or later you may have and run into timing chain problems, because the oil is what lubricates the timing chain and prevents it from stretching. So you want to make sure you change the oil early, and just make sure that that you use like a good quality oil and oil filter. So that's it. I can keep talking and talking, but I feel like I'm just repeating myself now. So I'm going to end this video now. Uh, that's about it. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them below, and I will see you guys next time. So now I have the Honda filter on the bench. I'm using a special oil filter cutting tool. If you want one, I will put the link in the description and in the comments section. So earlier off camera, I cut open a few oil filters. I was just testing this out. So now I have the Honda filter. This is your 16,000 or 10,000 mile uh, uh, oil change, 16,000 kilometers or 10,000 miles oil change. So now I'm just going to cut this open. We are just going to inspect the for any debris inside the oil filter, and we're also going to assess also the quality of the oil filter. Trying to turn the oil filter so there's no grip. I believe that Honeywell is the one that makes the Honda oil filters. So it's very uh, pretty much the same or similar to the Fram oil filters that you would be able to find in stores. Now, I'm not sure if they have changed the design of these Honda oil filters over the years, but has just on what I know, they've been. I know that Honeywell, they make the Honda oil filters the same as the Fram uh, oil filters, and I know that the quality of the Fram oil filters are not too great for the cheap ones. Usually the orange ones, the ones that have the orange cans. The higher quality Fram filters are a little bit better, depending on which one you get. So anyhow, I'm just opening this up now, just almost there. Just going to try my best to go into detail with the oil filter. I'm not gonna get into the technical specs and the filtration capability and the number of microns and all of that. I'm just doing a visual inspection only on this oil filter. I know there's been a lot of opinions on oil filters, but you can assess the quality of an oil filter for yourself sometimes by doing a visual inspection. Now, I used to have an older Acura Honda vehicle in my earlier years, and I used to use Fram oil filters, and I've never had a problem using Fram oil filters, and they work pretty decently as well. But I know the quality is not all that great. But I've never had a single problem with any of the Fram oil filters so far in my automotive career. Anyhow, this is open up now. Just going to remove this. Just inspecting for any debris or anything. Going to remove the oil filter out of the way. This is the bypass valve, cheap plastic bypass valve or relief valve with the metal spring. This is metal as well. And then they have the silicone anti-drain back valve. I'll put that in here. Get this out of the way and clean up this mess. You can check for any metallic debris inside the oil. I only see a little bit of metallic debris inside here. Now, I may need to discard the debris from outside the can here because I was opening this up, so it's gonna leave a little bit of debris. I'm opening up the can, so you will see a little bit of the metal and blue paint chips inside here. So I'm just gonna place this container. I already cleaned out the container earlier. So there's the silicone anti-drain back valve. Then you have the rubber seal, the gasket at the bottom and the opening, the holes. Now the issue is when you go for extended drain intervals on the oil changes, you have to take note and remember that this the rubber gasket, it needs to seal against the engine for thousands and thousands of kilometers or miles. So this has to seal against the engine, and make sure that it's leak free between the oil filter and the engine. So a lot of people don't know that the most important part of the oil filter is the rubber gasket, because this is what's sealing against the engine to prevent any oil leaks. Now, the longer that you go without changing the oil, the higher the chance that it's possible that an oil leak can form between the gasket and where it's sealing against the engine on the housing. So that's one thing about the extended oil change intervals. I forgot to mention earlier that the issue with extended oil change intervals is that it contributes to burning engine oil. So it contributes to burning oil. So if you don't change your oil very often, it's possible later down the road, depending on the state of health of the engine and the piston rings and everything. The issue is that today's modern day vehicles have low tension piston rings, and so they wear out very fast. They wear out faster than the old engines, in which did not use low tension piston rings. And so the issue with extended oil change intervals, it's that it will contribute to faster engine wear and burning oil. So sooner or later you might find that your engine is burning oil between oil changes. And so that's why I recommend to change the oil early and a lot sooner than what the manufacturer states. And also about the oil life indicator and all of that stuff. All of this stuff is to me personally is it's just a gimmick and the and false education towards the consumers or customers who own these vehicles, because some people, they swear to their life on the oil life monitor or interval. Like the on the Hondas you have the oil life monitor in percentage. 100% means that the oil has just been changed, and sometimes they don't tell you to change the oil until it reaches like 15 or 5%. And that takes a very long time to get to that percentage on the oil life monitors on the Hondas. I don't recommend to follow the oil life monitors. I recommend to follow the standard oil change intervals, usually no more than 8,000 or every 3 to 6 months. After I'm done explaining and showing all of this, then we are going to just have a closer look inside here. I see a little bit of debris inside, but it's not too much. Still a reasonable amount. You will always find some sort of metallic debris inside the oil filters. So yeah, you have the bypass valve. You have this plastic piece integrated with the metal spring, and then this people call these cardboard end caps. I don't know if it's cardboard or if it's a fiber type uh, end caps. And you have the sleeve inside that has a bunch of holes in here. I'm not going to get too much into the technical aspect of these oil filters. And then you have the pleats. I'll have to open this up. There's a metal piece here that that finishes the construction of the pleats to
close it up, and I might have to open this up so I can show you guys all of the debris inside here. It's the filter itself is somewhat of a decent filter. I don't know if it's like the upgraded type of the frame filters, but I know that Honeywell, they make these Honda filters, and they're pretty much identical to the Honda one. So I don't think too much has changed over the years. So I'm just having a look at this. I may have to slice this open in half so I can lay it out on the table to inspect this closer. So I'll leave that here and put this inside here as well. I don't see too much debris so far, and considering that this is a hybrid vehicle, so the engine repeatedly will shut off and start uh, routinely. Now, I'm probably going to give you guys a closer look now inside the can, and we are gonna open this up afterwards. So I'm just giving you guys a close up over here. There's some debris inside. I don't know if I'm able to show you guys on camera. There's a few flakes inside here. Now there's some flakes in here, but it may be difficult to show you guys. So I'm just trying to show you inside the oil filter canister. There's a little bit of some flakes of debris inside here, but there's not too much. It's gonna be a little difficult to show you on camera. There's some debris over here. You can see the debris over here inside. There isn't too much in here. Uh, Typically, you will find a tiny amount of debris inside an oil filter. It's just that you don't want an excessive amount to be inside the oil filter. And then we have the cartridge, the actual filtering material. I'm going to open this up, see for any debris. I see some debris inside here. So there is some debris inside the oil filter. So I'm just going to open it up off camera, and then we're gonna have a look at it closely. I see something in here as well. Some pieces of flakes of metal. I see quite a bit of flakes of metal inside the pleats. And just I'm checking each one. So meanwhile, I'm going to have a shop towel laid out on the table, and I'm going to, to open up the oil filter. So I'm just opening this up so you guys can see everything. Uh, Forgot to mention that this piece comes off the bypass valve, just like half plastic and half a metal. It's not a heavy duty spring. I've seen other oil filters, they have like a heavier duty spring. I'm probably going to make in another video shortly after, just showing all of the other aftermarket oil filters and stuff. So I'm just opening this up by hand only, just inspecting it for metallic debris. I see some particles here. So the longer you go without doing an oil change, is most likely you will find some debris inside the oil filter. And that's why I don't really recommend to wait to change your oil for that long. You should change it on a regular basis, depending on the driving conditions and how much mileage you drive each year and stuff. So it's gonna be dependent on the driving that you do and things like that. Anyhow, I'm just opening this up, and you can see some debris in here, metallic debris inside the pleats. You can see right here. So this oil filter is not, I wouldn't say it's the best oil filter, or it's just like I think it's just a below average oil filter, just like a okay oil filter. There's nothing fancy about these genuine Honda oil filters. It's just below average quality oil filter. It's just not don't expect anything like all. I mean, although that it's a genuine part and stuff, and the Honda engineers designed these oil filters to work properly on those vehicles. It's not like I wouldn't say it's a very good oil filter. It just works okay, but for the higher end applications, like for racing and stuff, I probably suggest to use maybe a better oil filter, depending on the application. You will still get away with using the Honda oil filters, because I used to own a couple Honda vehicles in in my past, and I used to use the Fram oil filters, and I've never had a problem. I always used to drive my vehicles very hard, and then they're able to withstand the driving conditions, so there shouldn't be a problem. So there's quite a bit of metallic debris I can see all across the pleats, the paper. And some oil filters, they'll have like a special cellulose type of filtering material. And so now, just having a closer inspection, I just see a bunch of particles here and there. There's quite a bit of particles inside. You can see the shiny stuff. This is why I do not recommend to do very long extended oil change intervals. And I'm seeing a bunch of debris everywhere. Now, this is the first oil change, so take note that there's going to be quite a bit of debris from the first oil change, because the engine is still new, and that's where there's going to be a lot of the wear and tear. You can see some pieces here. This one is a larger type of particle. That's pretty big. Looks like yeah, that looks like a small piece of metal there. I'm just gonna continue opening these up. So the oil filter is doing a relatively decent job or okay job in trying to catch these contaminants. The issue with people is that they talk about the oil, but they don't talk about the oil filter. And now you have to make sure that the oil filter that you are using on your vehicle, the oil filter, for the drain intervals or oil change intervals, you want to be sure that that the the interval that you are doing, say 8,000 or more than 8,000, you got to make sure that the oil filter that you are using is capable of being able to go to 8,000 kilometers or above 8,000 kilometers. So you want to make sure that you are using the correct oil and the correct oil filter for your application. If you're gonna go over 10,000 kilometers for oil change intervals, be sure that the oil filter is able to handle it to be able to do 10,000 kilometers. It's not only the engine oil. You want to make sure that the oil filter is able to withstand that mileage. So I'm just opening the remainder of the other parts, and then I think that's gonna be it for this video. I know this video was a little bit longer than what I intended it to be. I can't, unfortunately, I can't get down to all of the technical specs for some of you guys who are interested in the technical specs. I'm just going over it very briefly, just a general overview, not too much into the technical engineering side of these things, just doing a visual inspection, and that's it. I'm just trying to show you and make you guys understand what happens if you do an extended oil change interval. You go too long between oil changes, right? So you're gonna see a lot of wear and metallic debris inside here. Now, and what you can do is you can use a magnet if you want to catch all of these particles to see if they are magnetic. So there's a considerable, to be honest, there's a considerable amount of debris here. It's quite a bit. I was not really expecting to see all this much, but in my opinion, there's quite a bit of debris here. I can see a lot of the white and glittery and silverish shiny stuff. So there's quite a bit of debris here. So there's quite a bit of engine wear that happened in between the service life of this oil change. There's a piece of metal over here. Right here. And then the cylindrical piece, which the oil flows through to to filter out the filter, the oil. not sure on what is this called, but I think that's going to be it. That's all there is for the oil filters. So I'm just going to conclude this video for today. I hope you enjoy this one. If you have any questions or comments, drop me a line in the comments section. And these days I'm getting a lot of comments, so I may not be able to answer each and every one, but I'll try my best. That's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a like. And if you're not already a subscriber of this channel, please subscribe to my channel, because there's a lot more videos to come in the future. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day and take care.